slow down.
Hey, Facebook world.
Okay, we're going live, so somebody muzzle Joe.
We're live on YouTube.
Setting up the meeting for YouTube Live. We are done. And
We could share the YouTube live feed on Facebook, though, right?
Setting up the meeting for YouTube Live.
All right, who's echoing? Who's got boss-ass speakers?
Oh, that was me. That was
Probably
me. I
Jack.
shut it down.
All right. All
We're
right,
live.
You want to start? You want to start this off, Jay, like your normal podcast?
Oh, is this going to be a podcast? Is that what?
Yeah, man. That's why we're recording it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I guess that's a no.
Okay, we got a special event going on right now. We're doing a special podcast where we just have a bunch of young libertarians from various libertarian groups from throughout New Jersey, and we're just getting together to discuss the state of New Jersey and the state of liberty and lack of liberty in New Jersey and things that we can do to try to help fight for more liberty here in New Jersey. So Mike put this together, Mike Rufo. You want to take this over, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody who's watching, thank you very much for watching. We have Nick with the NJ2A Sanctuary. We have Jeff with the new Sons of Liberty Outfitters, right? Am I getting that right?
Survival Outfitters.
Say that again, bud.
Sons of Liberty Survival Outfitters.
Sons of Liberty Survival Outfitters. We have Matt Castaneda from YAL, and we have Akshay Ora from YAL as well. And you have me, myself, Mike Rufo, congressional candidate from New Jersey Libertarian Party in Congressional District 4. So, guys, why don't we start off with Jeff? Why don't you tell us about yourself, your organization, and what you're doing for the community? And then we'll go off to Nick and then the two gentlemen from YAL after that.
All right, no problem. I'll start out. I will say my laptop is kind of having a little bit of technical difficulties, but actually it's popping back up here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
All right. So I'm Jeff Salmary. I'm actually a high school history teacher down in Somerset County. My brother's Phil Salmary. He's a active duty sailor. Right now he's in the Persian Gulf. My wife's a teacher as well. And we put together this business in 2017. And the idea was we started this business because we believe that it's not only important to convince the people of New Jersey, and we're also in Pennsylvania, but we're trying to help the people not only realize that politicians can't run their lives, but that they have the power to run it themselves as well. We kind of feel like there's something missing from the idea that, a lot of times when we go to talk to people about the government, we talk about what's bad about the government, and we don't talk about young libertarians from various libertarian groups from you guys hear me?
New Jersey. We're just getting together to discuss the state of New Jersey,
Can you guys
the
hear
state
me?
of liberty and lack of liberty in New
What is
Jersey.
that?
House.
To
Yeah,
try
that.
to help fight for more liberty here in New Jersey.
guys.
Yeah, no, we hear you, Jeff. It's
Yeah.
Mike,
There's-
put this together, Mike Rufo. You want to take
we're
this?
getting a lot of.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody who's watching, thank you very much for watching. We have Nick with the NJ2A Sanctuary. We have Jeff with the
Jeff, that's not on your end. You're not listening to the YouTube video, are you?
Outfitters, right?
Survival Outfitters.
Say that again, bud.
Sons of Liberty Survival Outfitters. That's on my end.
Sons of Liberty Survival.
I'm not sure where it is. You don't? Are you listening to YouTube
YAL, and we have Akshay Ora from YAL.
at the same time?
We have me, myself, Mike Rufo,
Let me
congressional
see.
candidate from New Jersey Libertarian Party.
Sorry about that, guys.
All good now.
Yeah, no, I had no idea what was going on. I guess I was just on YouTube.
Okay.
All right, so let me backtrack a little bit. Apologize about that, guys. My computer was freezing up. All right, so this is it. I'm a history teacher. I teach down in Somerset County. I've taught U.S. history, world history, AP US, economics, genocide studies. It's going to be my 10th year teaching next year. My brother's in the Navy. My wife's a teacher. And what we've done is we've put together a business, and the business is to promote freedom, not only in New Jersey, but hopefully eventually nationwide. And I want to start with just talking about the oldest political trick in the book, which is divide and conquer. When we talk about left, right, red, blue, all this stuff, a lot of times it divides the people up. And especially with this pandemic, there's so much fear, anxiety, paralysis, hopelessness. And a lot of times these are tools that are used by people in power to divide and conquer the people. So we said, instead of waiting for politicians to save us, you know, I know we got people running for Congress on here, and that's no slight against you. We need people that love freedom running for Congress too, but there's things we can do every day, right? We can fight back by making ourselves smart, skilled, strong, formidable people, getting in shape, learning new skills, stocking essentials, building a garden, having a getaway plan, meeting our neighbors, starting a local business or a charity or a club, developing a can-do attitude, being more courageous, and never backing down and never apologizing for loving freedom, right? Free men and women are free because they make it that way. Nothing in the world is free, especially freedom. So our idea is we want to foster small businesses, because a lot of times people don't realize how much of an ally small businesses are to a freedom movement, because small businesses know they have all these regulations on top of them. The big corporate guys in Washington or in New York and Washington, the multinationals, they get all the breaks. The small businesses know that. And if we're going to have independent, powerful, empowered individuals and independent communities and grassroots, we need small businesses, especially in pandemics and things like this, but just all the time. You know, we believe we need less of, in our company, monopolized banks and corporations. All these indebted kids are coming out of college with all this debt, and then they have to work a corporate job because they have no other choice. That was their major, right? We're getting all these orders from capital cities, mayors and governors who think that they just now have been given, they're just kings. They can just tell us what to do. And everyone's looking for saviors and politicians. So our company's working to change the culture in New Jersey through our Patriot Discount Club and social network. And basically our network works like this. When you become a member of Sons of Liberty, let me just show you guys this. This is the card you'll get. You get a Sons of Liberty card. It'll have your region of the state on it. All right. It'll have your information on the back, your Sons of Liberty pen name, your ID number, and your email address. And what'll happen is we have over 115 small businesses right now. Like last year we had 50. The year before we had 25 when we started. We have 115 small businesses all over the state, mostly in North Jersey, but any small business can join us. All right. So if you know a patriotic small business owner, all right, tell them to join us, because what we're doing is we're looking for businesses that increase skills, increase community sustainability, meaning we have everything from rifle ranges, like we have gun for hire, RTSP, reloaders, all in North Jersey. We have a few South Jersey instructors as well, but in North Jersey, those three right off the bat, those three gun ranges, you walk in with this card, you get a free gun rental every time you go. We have whitewater rafting, restaurants. We have brewery, distillery. Right now we have Angry Eric's Brewery, which I'm going to talk about in a second. And we have everything to preschools. So whatever you want to do, these are patriotic business owners that support freedom. They support, you know, what we're talking about. So we need to support them. Remember, one of the things on our Facebook is, you know, every dollar you spend is a vote. You know, they always used to talk about the four boxes of liberty, right? You know, you have the soap box, you have the ballot box, you have the jury box, and you have the ammo box. We want to add a fifth box, the cash box, where you spend your money. If you give your money to people that are patriotic and have small businesses that increase the independence of the community, you're going to build a community worth fighting for. You know, if you have a Walmart, a Starbucks, and a Domino's, and everything's the same in every town, how are you proud of where you live? So we want to really foster independent communities. And then on top of that, once you have that card, you can also, using your email address in the back, you can access the Sons of Liberty social network, where we're getting freedom-minded individuals together and families to meet, learn from, organize, and socialize with their patriotic neighbors. We want people to have the card so that they can log on our website. And eventually, we're not there yet, right? But we want to be like a patriotic Facebook, right? Except we're not encouraging or even tolerating people who just complain online. Instead, we're intending to use our website as an online portal to meet up in real life, like a meetup group, but to get to work building our community. So let's all get together and go to the range. Let's all get together and you know, do whatever. Let's do a beach trip. You know, let's plan it out together, right? Getting people together and getting people discounts for doing the right thing, building a community, and working with freedom-loving small business owners. So really trying to bring together the small business community, veteran and first responders. The cards are at cost. I would give them away free to veterans and first responders, because there's a lot. You know, people always talk about the police officer that you know violated this guy's rights, or you know, all this stuff. There's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of good law enforcement. There's a lot of good veterans. There's a lot of good first responders that we want to support. And we want to support them because we want to create a united front: small business owners, veterans, first responders, patriotic Americans all together, no divisions, no political divisions, just community first. And just and the idea that if we put the small town America first and the American way of life first, that place is, I mean, America is based on the free will of the individual above all else. So we're supporting freedom at the same time. We also, 20% of our profits go back to veteran organizations. We work with an awesome one in New Jersey and PA called Warrior Strong, and they get free fitness and yoga classes for veterans. And also, I want to talk about this too. We are hosting an event coming up at Angry Eric's Brewery. It was supposed to be for Patriots Day, but with this whole Corona pandemic, we had to put it on. We had to push it back. So we're doing an October Freedom Fest at Angry Eric Brewing up in Newton, New Jersey on Sunday, September 20th. And so basically what we're going to be doing is we were going to do this for Patriots Day. We're going to do it for Paul Revere's Midnight Ride, but we're going to do we got a 12-mile bike ride in the morning, which is the actual distance, Paul Revere, and the others, the distance from Boston to Lexington. It's actually being led by VFW Commander Pete Litchfield up in Sparta. And then after that, we got a yoga class for vets and first responders. Then at noon, the party kicks off. We got craft beer, we got a DJ, we got cornhole, we got a food truck, we got, I'm actually looking, one thing I want to make sure we get is a patriotic beer pong table. And we're going to have a good time. We're going to barbecue. And basically, it's free to come. If you're a Sons of Liberty member, you get discounts on the beer, you get discounts on the food truck. You get, you know what I mean? So you get discounts if you join us, but you don't have to be a member to come, to have a good time, to really, create a community of fun-loving people. And then if people are on the fence, people that, hey, I like freedom, but they're not the most freedom-loving person. Bring them. We'll show them how much fun it is to love freedom and love America, and then we can start changing hearts and minds. So that's really what we're all about. It's just bringing people together. I mean, we have tens of thousands of small businesses across the state. Imagine if we had all of them together and they were all united. And then we had, patriotic veterans and first responders throughout the whole state together. And we could really bring this together. People on this chat are doing some great things politically. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm here. I want to reach out to you guys. If people support freedom in the political realm, we support you too. On our website, the Bill of Rights was one of our, most, the Bill of Rights is the one thing America got right of anything, right? All the things. So we want to make sure that we support people that support the Bill of Rights. We want to encourage politicians to come on down to our events. We're not really trying to make it political events, but just come down, have a good time, and and mingle with the people. But we're trying to reinstate that we the people attitude, right? And we're doing that through our company and trying to give back to veterans and everything else at the same time. So that's really what we're about. And I have 115 businesses. I think the coronavirus is going to wipe out some of them. It's a shame. Heard of a few that are pretty struggling. They're reaching out. I was talking to a business owner the other day. She was crying. She has a gym, and I'm getting a little emotional. But I'm talking to these business owners, and it's just tough. What they're going through. They shut down their businesses. They didn't give them any compensation. They did it completely illegally, and so we're here to support any small business owner that supports freedom, supports veterans, first responders, and supports the community. And we want to try to give back, throw events, and just encourage people to network socially on a platform that doesn't censor the hell out of you every day. You know what I mean? It's incredible how social media does that. And I know for just saying that, there's only a limited, I probably have 5 times I can say that on social media before they start coming after me. So I'm just saying, this is one of those times. I'm giving it right here. So so that's what we're about. And just so everyone knows, $10 for the year for veterans and first responders, 20 going to 25 next year for anyone who's not a veteran or first responder. So that's 25 for the year. 20% of all of our profits at the end of the year go back to veterans and first responders. We're going to have Sheriff Strada at the Oktoberfest. We're trying to get more, as much, law enforcement, military as possible down there. Went to the recruiting offices, and it's just me, my brother, and my wife, and we're going business to business, talking to them in person, online, just trying to do everything we can to really promote the message. Real quick backstory on me: I'm a history teacher, right? But I was inspired in 2007. I was a Ron Paul revolutionary back then. I taught 2 years in Virginia, 20, 30 minutes from Appomattox Courthouse. I realized I wasn't getting paid enough money. I went to James Madison University, wasn't getting paid enough money to pay back those student loans. So I hightailed it back to Jersey. And now I've been teaching. This is going to be my 10th year. You know, and I'm not going to say that I only push the liberty mindset in the classroom, but I get the kids really thinking and critically thinking and trying to drive it home as best as I can in a public school setting. But I don't get pushback. If you just say you support the entire Bill of Rights, I mean, I sign a contract that says I have to. So we need more public school teachers that support liberty. We need more small business owners to join our network. And we need to really just hit the grassroots and show people that freedom is something you see. Rights are exercised. They're not just talked about. You have to get out and use them. Otherwise, people start taking them away.
That's awesome. That's a lot of great information, and I'm hoping everybody that watches takes in on it. Everyone, if you know somebody who's got a business, please reach out to Jeff. You know, I'm sure we got some follow-up questions that Joe and Jay can think of in the meantime. And
Yeah,
we'll bounce back to you, and we'll get to that. In the
Yeah.
In the meantime, though, I want to get to Nick. Nick, why don't you tell everybody your official title with the NJ2A Sanctuary and what you guys are doing and what you did over the last year or so?
I'm Nick. I'm one of the co-founders and currently president of New Jersey 2A Sanctuary. And what we are is we're just a bunch of people who care about our rights and care about our firearms rights and the Second Amendment. And we decided to try and do something about it and try to change some of these laws, these draconian laws. And how we're doing that is by getting town councils, getting counties to pass resolutions stating that they will back us up. And why that's important, there are a lot of people complain to say they're just signing a piece of paper, doesn't have any teeth, that type of situation, which is true to an extent. But what it does is it sends, when we're fighting in Trenton and they say no one supports you, we could say, you know, 21 counties support us. I mean, realistically, that's what we would want. And so it kind of gives you a little bit more weight to throw around when it comes down to legal battles. And our end goal is to change laws in New Jersey. Our end goal is to make things friendlier for firearms owners here in New Jersey, because as we know, since the 60s, we've been complacent. They've been passing law after law after law. We are, if not the top 3 restrictive states in the US, and it's a problem, and we're trying to fix this. And the way we do it is by having citizens, normal everyday people from the very bottom, the grassroots, to send letters to their assemblymen, send letters to the counties and their town councils asking them to pass these resolutions and sending resolutions in, so they're brought up at meetings and people have to vote on them. So that's what we're doing. We are trying to inspire the people at the grassroots level. A lot of people have shot straight up to Trenton. You know, you yell at the gates, and with gun law specifically, it doesn't really get you anywhere, or it hasn't gotten us anywhere. And we're just trying to take a different approach. And that approach is building a base of people at the grassroots level that support the Second Amendment. And we are a nonpartisan organization. We are a nonprofit organization as well. And we believe that our civil rights, our sovereign, our human sovereignty, our rights to protect ourselves, our family, and our property is inalienable. It is a natural right. It is a God-given right. And with these rights, no one has the right to infringe on them. And we think that it also transcends any political spectrum. This is not just an issue of Democrats. This is not not just an issue of Republicans, not just issues of the Libertarian Party. These are civil rights. These are for our rights as human beings. And we find that super important. And so we are building a strong base from county to county. We have 7 counties that have passed it. Everything's been kind of slowed down because of the whole crisis and the pandemic. But we have plans to ramp this up. We've been sending out emails to our assemblymen, to Murphy, to Graywall, asking them to, hey, our gun stores are essential. They were shut down when the pandemic first happened, and they were deemed non-essential. And we had thousands of emails sent out. And I would like to think that we had some play in the fact that these opened back up. And we do that by putting pressure on our assembly, putting pressure on our counties and our town levels to kind of say, hey, Murphy, what's going on here? How is it that liquor stores are essential? Meanwhile, gun stores are not, something that we use to protect ourselves. So we're trying to also open up gun ranges, because gun ranges are still currently closed. They're not deemed as essential. The stores part are, but you're not allowed to use the range. And I think that even if you were to use the social distancing guidelines, I think it should be no problem for us to be able to go to a range to practice our firearm training. There should be no issue there, and there is. So we're also sending out email campaigns, again, thousands of emails from people that are just everyday citizens. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for the person who isn't super active going to Trenton, going to these meetings, these legislative events and things like that. We're right from home. You can go to our website, nj2asanctuary.com. You can find your assemblyman from that website. You can send emails from the website that are already filled out. All you have to do is literally click a link, and 119 emails will pop up in your Gmail, and you can send one in all shots. It's already preformed. All you got to do is sign it. So we're trying to make it easy to get your point across in the simplest way possible. And I'd like to think that we're pretty effective. I'd like to think that we still have a lot of work to do. This is New Jersey. I mean, so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring, and this is one thing that I've always been very, very jealous of something that Democrats can do 100% of the time and so effectively, is just get a mob of people to do anything at any time. And people that are more conservative, the libertarians, whatever, anything right to the extreme left, we don't do that well. So we're trying to change that as well. I think that this is actually happening that way too. People are waking up and realizing now, especially more than ever, that their rights are being taken away. So people want to do things about it. We're trying to give them a means to do it. Hopefully it makes some change.
And I think you touched on a really good point there at the end. I think one of the things the left does very well, although the progressives do very well, is they coalesce really well. And, that's part of the reason why, when I was able to get in touch with everybody through the different channels throughout this lockdown, having this chat is probably one of the best things possible, because as we all share this on social media ourselves, more people will be familiar with each other. Because I know there's people in my circles that aren't familiar with NJ2AS, and I know there's people in my circles that aren't familiar with Sons of Liberty Survival Outfitters. And believe it or not, there's people in my circles that are not familiar with YAL. So with that, Akshay, why don't we start with you, brother, since you are currently the state chair for YAL in New Jersey. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, how you got yourself to the position of state chair here with YAL, and what you're specifically doing here in the state to help out.
Yeah, so as you said, my name is Akshay. I'm 21 years old. I'm the New Jersey State Chair for Young Americans for Liberty. How I kind of got involved with the movement was literally one day, Matthew Castaneda, who's the other guy on this call from YAL, randomly messaged me on Facebook. I had no idea who he was. And he was like, hey, I'm part of this organization. And I'd heard of them before. So I looked into it, and I kind of started, I was like, okay, this is something I want to get involved with, because, I'm a libertarian. Of course, I was a little bit less libertarian then, and kind of fell down the rabbit hole after that. But I kind of I was like, okay, I want to get involved with this. We had a conference in Philly in April of 2019. I went there, saw that it wasn't just those, the weird libertarians that you get from, you see in the mainstream media. It's a bunch of normal people who legitimately care about liberty. And it's not, it's mostly young people. So I kind of just fell in love with the organization from there, started doing more work with them. Matt was the New Jersey State Chair at the time, and he got promoted, so that opened up a spot for me. Kind of just slid in there, and I've kind of just been, the way I like to put it, and I think this is a lot of what I've gotten, a lot of my messaging comes from the way Matt Castaneda puts it. We're just going to call him Castaneda. And the way he likes to put it is, we're building a coalition of people in New Jersey. You might not be, as libertarian as someone else, but if you believe in liberty, at a decent level, we want to, work with you on certain issues. You don't have to be 100% with us on every single issue, but, as long as you're there on a certain amount of issues, let's just keep working on it and, pushing that needle.
So what are some of the things you're doing this year right now? Granted, we have the lockdown, but what are some of your goals and the things you're trying to do as the state chair in New Jersey this year?
Yeah, so, well, I mean, we usually work with more campus side related things, but we're also trying to make that push towards elections. I'll probably let Castaneda talk about that a little bit more, but I'll talk about the campus side. So usually we'll have like a couple of people at a school, and we'll work with them, be like, all right, what do we do so that we can build this, so we can get more people involved with the liberty movement? And we'll go there, we'll just be out there, we'll be getting signups, we'll talk to them afterwards, be like, we'll work on our messaging, because that, I feel like, is the biggest thing, is when people hear the word liberty or freedom, they think of these, right-wing extremists, and that's not what it is we're just people who legitimately care about our society, our, the people around us, and we feel like this is the best way to do it. So we kind of we try to work with our messaging a lot, and find a way to put it so that it doesn't seem like we're just, someone who doesn't, believes taxation is theft for no reason other than, I don't want to pay my taxes,
The fact that it is.
What does membership look like, numbers wise through in the state?
Castaneda, you're probably better. You know this better. I think we're around
We're close to 120 in terms of
120?
official members.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
why don't we do this? Why don't we, at this point, Matt, why don't you take over here now for the second part of the YL conversation, and tell us more about some organizational goals, some of what you guys are trying to do, some of what you have those 120 members doing on a regular basis, and what they're hoping to achieve.
Yeah, of course. So broadly with Young Americans for Liberty, whether it's on the college campuses or on the electoral level, we educate, train, and mobilize a lot of young activists to help make liberty win. And what we mean by that is, as we said before, a lot of people, when they think of libertarians, they think of that guy with his shirt off at the national convention in 2016. They think of these crazy right-wing extremists that just wants to have machine guns legalized and all that. But really, our main goal as an organization nationwide is to introduce the ideas of liberty, not just as like some crazy ideology, but as an ideology of normal people that care about an ever-growing, expanding size of government, and how it's been infringing on people's basic rights, especially to this day. And through that, we do it through two levels. As Akshay just mentioned before, through the campus level, we do this, exercising free speech rights, protesting against any laws that would, or rules on the university campus that would suppress First Amendment rights. And we actively file lawsuits. We get involved with organizations that prioritize First Amendment rights, such as Alliance Defending Freedom and FIRE, Foundation for Individual Rights and Education, to help overturn these codes. And we've done it in, I want to say, about at least 50 campuses across the country. And we've done it in two cases in New Jersey, Montclair State and TCNJ. But on the electoral side of things, one of the things we try to do is, is one thing where Jeff is talking about doing things at the, the individual level with small businesses, or through, Second Amendment sanctuary movements. We try to do things at the electoral level, like with how Thomas Massie or Rand Paul or Congressman Ron Paul, whether you agree with, how they did it in terms of running as a Republican or whatnot, we look for ways to realistically get liberty-minded people, libertarian-minded, figures and candidates elected into office. And we do this at the state legislative level. And if you could see on my background, that's our logo for Operation With the Door, which is our 501c4 that allows us to get involved in campaigns. We do a lot of state rep, or if you're in New Jersey, state assembly, or state senate in many cases as well. And we do this through pure grassroots movements, through young activists like ourselves, whether you're in your 20s or 30s or whatnot. We scout a lot of these candidates through a very stringent process. They have to be supportive of a lot of our fundamental landmark, policies, constitutional carry, so pro-Second Amendments you can get with that. Also criminal justice reform measures. We look for politicians that look to at least seek to decriminalize marijuana, reduce penalties, and also even go as far as legalization ideally. But it's not just about, lowering taxes or legalizing marijuana, that kind of stuff. We also care about what they think about on the national side of things. So it's easy for someone to say, yeah, I like lower taxes and I don't think people should be locked up for smoking plants. Simple, right? But what they don't understand is that a lot of it goes into the foreign policy level as well. Like, you wouldn't think, oh, state legislators, why would they be worried about foreign policy? It's very important not only towards like their principles and what small government truly means to them, But in terms of, especially in times in Afghanistan, other wars, unconstitutional wars, especially throughout history, a lot of governors have allowed or have sanctioned moving their National Guard troops from their individual states over, to fight in these wars, to fight in all these endless wars where countless tons of them are either dying or being maimed or, being permanently affected by it, whether it's physically, psychologically, you name it. And through efforts such as we've worked with legislators across the country, Tyler Lindholm in Wyoming, other legislators in West Virginia, and ideally across the country, we look to support legislation such as Defend a Guard Act, which is basically telling the governor, yeah, unless you get like a super majority, or if you can get like, again, overwhelming majority permission from your state legislature, you do not have the right to send your National Guard troops over to the Middle East or anywhere that the president wants you to send them without the approval of the legislature. So we're trying to take things at a state level to a national level. And again, everything that we're doing in the libertarian movement or the liberty movement as a whole is important, but it's also important that we go in there, as we say in Yale, rhino hunting is our favorite sport. And we try to get people elected, whether it's Republicans, Libertarians, Democrats. We use the political parties as tools. We're not loyal to the parties. We're not loyal to, serving the establishment. That's not what we're here for. We look to utilize, their own platforms, kick the status ass in their own game, and get people elected and pass libertarian policy.
That's interesting. I don't think a lot of people understand and realize that the state legislator can have such a power when it comes to foreign interventions and everything of the sort. So it's nice to know that, there's organizations like yours doing that. And it's nice to know that you're on campuses as the anti-culture to the typical progressive indoctrination that does take place sometimes in some of those campuses. As for me, I'll just introduce myself. For those of you that don't know, my name is Michael Rufo. I ran for Congress in 2018 with the New Jersey Libertarian Party in Central Jersey. I know it exists, gentlemen. Central Jersey exists. In Congressional District 4, ran up against Chris Smith, Josh Welly, and 3 other independents. Took the 3rd place trophy home. It is what it is. I got 1,400 some votes. But for me, when I'm as part of the Libertarian Party, I understand that the battle is an uphill march. I joined up with the NJLP actively in 2016, worked my way in, got signatures, petitions, worked with people, went to fairs, shook hands, set up events at different places for Pete Rohrman. I set up a few events for him when he was running for governor in 2017. I worked hand in hand with Murray Sabrin while he was running for Senate and I was running for Congress. But for me, understanding that it's such an uphill battle, it's really more about the education and the spreading of the message. So one of my favorite moments is running for Congress was at the League of Women Voters debate. So see, Chris Smith, he always dodges these debates. He doesn't show up to them. He doesn't want to be challenged by anybody who can articulate any kind of idea outside of his bipartisan burying the country in debt mentality. I did a lot of trumpeting on the 10th Amendment. And states' rights and how it's the state's it should be the state that gets involved with the environment. It's not a federal issue to be worried about what happens on the shores of New Jersey. It's not a federal issue, for what happens in the 500 and some odd different school districts in New Jersey. It's not a federal issue, and I just kept driving home states' rights every time somebody brought up a question. States' rights, states' rights, states' rights. Enough to the point where I did get the Democrat Josh Welly to turn around at one point because I was just belaboring the issue of states' rights, and people were, you see the people nodding their head. Eventually, the Democrat, and stop me if any of you have recently heard a Democrat claim that they love the 10th Amendment.
Actually, yeah.
He turned around and he said, well, I am a strong proponent of the 10th Amendment, and I do believe that states have their own rights in certain issues. And for me, see, that's a win. That's a moment where the Libertarian had influence on the election. So you don't have to win an election to have influence on voters.
Well, the immigration issue, they're finally the Democrats are, it was years of the last administration and the Republican states standing up for states' rights, and now that we have Trump and the Democrats want sanctuary cities. Now they're embracing states' rights. It seems like other than the Libertarians and you, Mike, everybody's embracing states' rights only when it's convenient for them.
Only when it's convenient for them. See, that's the difference. But to be able to get somebody who in 2018, states' rights was not a big deal because this was before all of the immigration stuff. This was before all of those arguments about the sanctuary cities. That was only the last year and a half or so.
Yep.
Right? You've never heard it.
Nope.
And we heard it that day. Then also to have volunteers. Okay, so then this really struck home. So I had volunteers, women from the Leagues of Women Voter, come up to me and tell me after the debate, young man, I loved everything you had to say tonight. I didn't know what a libertarian was before you got on that stage, but I'm going to go home tonight and I'm going to look up that website and I'm going to do research as to what you guys stand for. Again, that's another win. When I had young students from Brookdale come up to me and tell me, I love your position on the environment. I love the fact that you think we should be fit focusing on it here in New Jersey and that the people out in California shouldn't be having a say as to how we protect our environment here. That's awesome. I brought up the fact that New Jersey is a donor state, and at the time we were only getting approximately 70 cents per dollar back from the federal government from what we send out to them. Again, more people approached me about that as well. I had a gentleman who had never voted before, comes up to me after the debate. I've never voted before. After 2016, I've decided it's my time to start getting involved. I'm voting for you. It's those moments where you know you have an effect, because that one person or those 10 people even that I may have spoke to in that room that night after the event, they went home and told their friends. And they got in their friends' ears about some of the issues that I brought up. And I'm telling you now, there's no doubt in my mind that when they listen to politicians speak from now on, they have a different way of listening to them because of the things they saw that night. And that's how a libertarian, despite not being able to possibly win at the moment, can spread the seeds of liberty along with these folks here that we're talking to today to help make sure that we grow liberty in the right manner. And it's important that we build a coalition and we all coalesce together and continue to move this message forward. So I'm very grateful that you guys are here tonight. And Joe and Jay, I mean, what questions do you have for these guys that we can, I mean, I'm sure you guys are rattled and you got a bunch of questions for all of them.
I'm always very curious at what resonates today with people that are college age, high school age. Obviously, tuition and college debt is a huge issue right now. But I'm always curious to see, you know, there's all these issues and the media parrots anything they can get their hands on at any given hour. But what types of activities, when you bring these issues up, what types of things actually get people to show up or get people to listen? Is it doing booths? Is it, you know, having concerts? Is it having debates? Like, you know, what grabs their ear? There's so many things out there vying for people's attention, especially younger people. I mean, social media, video games, and then all the old stuff that used to be there before tech. Like, you know, so what have you guys, you know, what have you guys found with people that works to bring them into a YAL meeting or on campus?
Yes, I mean, when it comes to a lot of meetings over, you know, on campuses that we visit, it really depends on the campus. I mean, but especially in the Northeast, in an area where it's so left wing, where Democrats, you know, dominate governments all across the board, and especially on college campuses where, you know, they typically swing very left. We always talk about stuff like criminal justice reform, corporate welfare, because one thing that people don't realize is that it's kind of ironic, and I know it almost sounds like mainstream conservative when I say this, but, you know, typically you can ask people, like, do you trust the government? The vast majority of people, even Bernie supporters, will be like, no, like, I think they suck. I think they're terrible at doing all these things. And then, like, then I ask them, like, then why do you want to make it bigger? You know, you hate all, like, these, you know, corporate welfare bailouts. You hate all these subsidies. You hate the fact that, you know, the poor and the middle class are getting screwed. Let me tell you something, because a lot of people misconceptualize the fact that's capitalism and that take that as an opportunity to explain to them how that's big government as well, and that how people who actually want limited government, such as libertarians or conservatarians, constitutionalists, what have you, they oppose that as well. You know, of course, typically I'm not expecting them to become, you know, von Mises or Rothbardians when it comes to capitalists after one conversation, but it gives me an opportunity to help make them think, okay, capitalism is not, you know, the government there's no government involvement in true capitalism. Capitalism is the voluntary exchange, you know, between two parties, you know, and this is all through voluntary transactions. There's nothing voluntary about government. Whenever the government gets involved, it's through coercion. You know, whether you're talking about free markets, whether you're talking about criminal justice reform matters, such as, you know, legalizing marijuana, or, you know, the prison system, or, you know, the war on drugs as a whole, you talk to them saying, hey, you know, we're not fans of the conservatives either that, you know, are proponents of all like these big war on drugs, you know, all these big government policies, because guess what? They're not as small government as they claim to be. You know, I'm not trying to be like the purist, like libertarian types, but we try to explain to them how the positions that they stand for, especially on social issues such as criminal justice reform, you know, non-interventionist foreign policy, are consistent small government principles that align with us, and that we try to be consistent across the board with these principles and give them another perspective on where people who are truly in favor of smaller government come from. And we take that as an opportunity to open up civil conversations and discussions. And at a lot of our chapters in Young Americans for Liberty, whether it's in New Jersey or New York, what have you, we make an open forum, we make an open platform. Anyone is welcome to join. We're a nonpartisan organization at the end of the day, so I don't care if you lean towards Trump or lean towards Bernie, or if you just want to learn more about politics. We're open to anybody, and we practice what we preach in terms of having open civil discourse, exercising constitutional rights and being able to be civil with each other, and look to fix the hyper partisan nature of politics that we're currently in today.
Cool. I like it. Jay, you got anything? I don't want to monopolize.
If I could just jump in, I'm also a member of Yale.
Oh, cool.
And I actually met Akshay at the convention that he went to in Philadelphia, and I was probably one of the top 3 oldest people there. I never went to college. I work in a trade, but it was something that was interesting to me, and I think at that time they were kind of looking to bring other people on there. And one of the things that really drove me to that is exactly what Matt was explaining, is that they try to speak to everyday people, which is a smart thing, because we can't further our Second Amendment rights. We can't further other rights if we don't know how to talk to people first. And I think that's something that maybe the LP and people who are liberty minded struggle with, because I mean, I'm not just saying this to say this, but a lot of people in the LP and people that are liberty leaning have minds that are often different than what most people in social circles are like.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
So it's like, you kind of have to take that and teach people how to bring their point across, kind of like sell liberty, essentially. And by doing that, as you said, Mike, you kind of just have to talk to people, but you have to talk about, the criminal justice reform. You have to talk about the issues that everyone can agree on. And once you make that first step, then it just kind of, it's the snowball effect after that. And I think that that's why their organization is doing so well and speaks to so many people, because it truly is. And this is kind of, I've learned to try and do the same thing with NJ2A Sanctuary is this is not a left issue. This is not a right issue. This is a civil rights issue. Who disagrees with civil rights? There's nobody, so, well, I guess we can go on.
But Nick, that kind of leads me to a question that I had for you. So, right, because we all agree here that the Second Amendment is a civil rights issue, right? So I've gone so far as on the campaign trail to say that gun rights are women's rights. You know what I mean? So I want to know, what is some of the pushback you've experienced from the sanctuary movement that you've got rocking here in New Jersey, and what have been the challenges in getting it going forward?
A lot of the challenges come from the actual meetings. We have meet and greets all the time where we explain the resolutions, and you'll see people from your community. We have a set of advocates in every single state. I mean, every single state, I wish, but every county in New Jersey. So we have a group of advocates that are actively having meet and greets to bring people at the grassroots level to talk back and forth and to help send out the resolutions, explain the resolutions, explain what we stand for, explain why the Second Amendment is important. And so, a lot of the time at the town council meetings where we're getting our town council to vote, or at the county level where we're getting our county freeholders to vote on the resolutions to approve or not pass it, moms demand action. A lot of people who are of the same thinking. It's typically a lot of older women. We've passed the county has passed our resolution in the South. It's mostly in the South. I mean, there are in the North as well, like Sussex, that's where the original sanctuary resolution started to begin with. And like, we don't say sanctuary resolution because the only reason why we're NJ2A Sanctuary is because it kind of exposing the hypocrisy of the whole sanctuary city movement that was going on at the time too. And it's just hot, but our resolutions aren't about a sanctuary. We're just asking our elected officials to back us up when we say, hey, this is an infringement on the Second Amendment rights. This says that you completely agree with it. We need you to follow through now. And we get a lot of older women that are backlash at our meetings when we have our meet and greets and things like that. We get people from across the political spectrum. I mean, one of the ones that I've went to in my hometown, we had one at a brewery, which is awesome. We pack out a brewery for a small business owner at noon. It's great. I mean, we do that. We were, yeah, it is. It's fun too. And
So which one?
Oh, which one? 13th child.
Okay, I'll send them some. I'll
Yeah, he's actually a veteran. It's
Awesome.
veteran and operated too, so it's cool. But so when we were there, a lady came up and was like, "I don't own any guns." I said, "Okay, I mean, that doesn't bother me." She's like, "But I see how important the Second Amendment is," and she's like, "And I'm even embarrassed to say, I'm a Democrat." I said, "Why are you embarrassed to say that? I don't care about that. To me, this is not about political spectrum. This transcends that. This is about civil rights. This is about me being able to protect myself from somebody trying to infringe on my property, my family, or myself. Guns are very important, but to me, a firearm is just the tool to protect our sovereignty. So it's, to me, it's not about the guns. It's about the civil liberty. And I tell people all this time, I mean, to me, I'm in this for a selfish reason. I'm in this because I want my children to live a freer life than I live. And I want my children to grow up and recognize liberty and feel free in their environment. And it's really tough to do that in New Jersey. We have 50 plus years of complacency to work through. So that's also, I mean, that's also another drawback. And that's also another thing, an issue that we're running into, is that with this complacency comes a bunch of people who just don't care about their rights anymore, because you really have three choices. You can be okay with the laws and just roll over and take it. You can move, or you can fight them. I'm not moving out of my home. I'm going to fight this, and I will fight this tooth and nail until we are liberty loving New Jersey, which could take 200 years. But as long as I've done my part and I'm helping my children live freer than myself, I feel like it's worth it. And I mean, I hate to pull the old man card, kind of. I mean, I'm 32, I think. You lose count after a little bit. Like, you just don't, I don't care how old I am. But when you have children, like, for me, my perspective has changed. Before, it was about everybody needs liberty and I'm going to go do this and I'm going to fight this, I'm going to fight that. But now it's like, I feel more honed in and more targeted, because it's, for me, it's strictly because I want my children to live freer than myself. That's it. That's as a parent, imagine you can give your children everything in the world, but can you give them liberty? That's what I want to do. To me, that's like the top notch. That's God level parenting, is if you can give your children liberty. And that's what I want to do.
I'm about to have my second son in June, so I'm right there with you, man.
Congrats,
and one thing I love about what you guys are doing is you guys are working at the county and local level to do this, because one thing that's really important that we forget about liberty, it's almost impossible to turn around an aircraft carrier, right? And that's what Washington, D.C. is. It's an aircraft carrier. And when you go to Washington, D.C., the lobbyists, you have everyone there. But when you work at the local level, like, I know my sheriff, I know my mayor, I know my police chief. If I need to, I can go talk to them.
Yeah. And
I can keep an eye on them. And I know and like, they know me, they know the type of person I am. So it's like, when it's the local level, when you're working in the county and you're building a community, you know, a lot of people think libertarian means in the woods in a cabin by yourself with a bunch of guns and canned food. And when you really think about it, that doesn't really,
wait, it doesn't.
It can change my whole perspective now if it's not.
Yeah, it can,
shit.
but it
I'm
doesn't
totally
have. It's
mixed
not
up.
just that. It can also be really strong, thriving, independent communities or counties where you are, you're protecting your freedom that way. And yeah, no, you're right. As a father, I completely agree with you. Just your perspective changes.
It does. It just changes things. But for me, I think it's made people, it's made me more effective. So it's like, that type of situation, it's kind of, again, we're fighting 50 plus years of complacency, of not doing anything, about complaining about things, but not actually putting in the action to work. That's why everybody here is so important too, because we're of the younger demographic. You know, we're trying to fix what the boom. I hate talking about boomers because they do have a lot of experience. Boomers. Listen, I am the first person to criticize boomers and boomer attitude and the FUD attitude and the not caring attitude. But when it boils down to it too, they do have a lot of experience, and you can learn a lot from boomers when you have to like separate the boomerisms from them, and you do learn a lot, like how to deal with these politicians who are of the same age. So most of our politicians, you know, to fix things in New Jersey, I guess we're going to come around to that question eventually, to try and help and fix things in New Jersey, we need to change our career politicians first. We need to say, hey, for me, I hated people that were single issue voters. To me, that is the most disgusting, non-researched attitude ever. But being in this now, if you don't support the Second Amendment, you can't support the rest of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So I can't support you. I am now a single issue voter. If you're not strong on guns, listen, there are obviously other things that fall back underneath of that, but my main issue is gun rights. Because again, if you don't support your Second Amendment, how could you support the other amendments? It doesn't work that way. You can't do it. So how do we change them? We say, hey, you're about to get your pension because you've been mayor for 38 years, right? We're not going to vote for you if you don't support the Second Amendment outright, or you don't support liberty outright. And they go, you know what? I'm about to get this pension next year. I just need to be in this for one more year. I guess I'm going to have to go and be and support the Second Amendment more. That's that change that you were talking about, Mike. You have to kind of just get in where you can. And it's these politicians, we need to speak up. That is the number one step, speaking up. Send an email. Takes 3 seconds. That's the first thing you have to do. Why does nobody do it? It's because New Jersey is so complacent. We can't. I'm not getting rolled over on anymore. I'm done with that. I hope everybody else is too.
Nick, it's not just complacency too. It's also this indoor cat mentality where people are so used to they've lived sheltered lives, you know, in New Jersey, if you think about it, right? How many outdoorsmen or people, how many people do you know? When I was growing up, I didn't have guns.
You don't live in South.
I had to learn it myself, you know, and it's like exercise. I mean, yeah, we haven't done a push-up in 10 years. It's hard to do a push-up after not doing it for 10 years.
Yeah, right, it is.
Takes a lot of effort, right? You know, but if you do them every day, it's easy. So it's you got to get people are afraid. They don't want to try something that they haven't done. So we have to work and make it. You know, it was intimidating as hell first time I went to a gun range when I was 18, 19 years old. You know, it's intimidating to some people. And they also, the older you get, the more intimidating it is, because when you're 35, you're like, oh, I'm a man. Blah, blah, blah. And then I don't know what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to avoid that for the rest of my life because I'm too scared. But we have to break through, and we have to come up with different ways to do that. And so I completely agree with you. But I think that there's this, like, you know, when you're an indoor cat, man, you're drinking milk in little milk bowls, you're sitting inside. When you see an outdoor cat, you get freaked out.
Part of the problem in New Jersey
and everything, they're scary.
The problem that you're bringing up is a common problem as well. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
The North Jersey, South Jersey divide
is completely different states, man.
Completely different. Like all those things you're talking about in South Jersey, like I was hunting at 8 years old.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's different up here.
Grandfather, we were shooting guns off, 4th of July, 22 or whatever. Like the first time I shot at 22, I was like, oh, that's it. Like, you know what I mean? And it's this whole issue, and it really is a big divide because New York City controls the first half. You look at the map, look where it's like you ever see where like, how does your political party vote in New Jersey? And it's like red, 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 and then there's that central strip of
the turnpike. The turnpike. It just goes from the top down to all the way down to Camden, right along the turnpike.
It goes from like that up right down the turnpike right into Philly, basically. Yep. That's what it is. Like. Our attitude is the suburb of Philadelphia, kind of, and like a lot of the North is like the attitude of like the New York attitude, and it's like they're definitely two different things, and it's spoiling over. Like that whole area, Camden County is blue. Why is Camden County blue? Because you have the bleed over from Camden, which is, I don't know how we feel about curse on here. It's a scheisse hole, okay? And then you got you got the melting over from Philadelphia. So you go lower, you know, your Cape May County, your Salem County, your Cumberland County. Those are where you're red, and it's been red, and it's only getting redder. So like it's more Republican, more, you know, Testa, Van Drew, which I'm sure we're all a fan of here.
Oh yeah, of course.
We love Van Drew.
As much as I don't like him, I like the attention that he's brought to politics in South Jersey, because it's only those people are like, oh, see, he's a walkaway Democrat. Like, okay, I like him a little bit because of his NRA rating. It's been great. He's always supported guns. So it's like, again, that signal issue thing, but he's brought good attention down to South Jersey, and whether he is actually signing policy and legislation is a whole nother deal, because he is bringing that attention and bringing more Republicans down here, which, I mean, it's just as much left as the same as the right almost. But, you know, I find that more conservatives are more okay with the idea of liberty.
What does a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution look like? And do you guys do any work with the Oath Keepers?
We haven't affiliated with any group. We're just ourselves.
Okay.
And you just go to nj2asanctuary.com. You can click on the resolutions link, and under resolutions link, it's literally a printout. You can print it out, and then you send it in. You mail it into your legislation, and we can give you all the information. We have each county, who you can send, who your county freeholders are, their email addresses, so you can email them, the address of where you send a resolution to. We're trying to make it so that our website is the one-stop shop to be able to send your resolutions.
And this is something that this generally is done by the freeholders adopting the resolution?
No, town council as well.
Okay.
It's at the most basic local level as well. My town has passed our resolution in Gloucester County.
I think Jackson has passed the resolution as well.
Where I didn't hear you. Sorry, my headphones.
Jackson?
Yeah, Jackson did it for 100%. It did. I know. If you go on the website, on the homepage, we have listed of everything everywhere that's passed it. And you know, it's town by towns. More people are doing it over the virtual town council meetings. It's being passed, and it's cool that it just keeps going through. It's a great thing to see, and it's really what's important to me. You affect change at the local level the most, in my opinion. So it's like, why we don't pay attention more to those local levels, especially for like people who love liberty and the support of those people, those that aren't running for districts but are trying to run at the town council level. I mean, I feel like that's something that could be worked on, but we're just working from the ground up.
Cool.
So Akshay, I got a question for you. I think you're the youngest guy on this call.
I am.
You are the newest active member of the Liberty movement on this call, considering you said you started last spring, right? When you went down to YALCON?
Yep.
Right. So what do you envision for yourself, and what is your future in the Liberty movement? What are you going to be doing moving forward?
Oh man. I mean, hopefully I want to run for office and win, not just run, but win. Okay. So I can actually make, policy changes. But if not, then I want to kind of like Jeff is doing, become a teacher and, actually educate the people on, the things that have gone wrong because of the government. All these things that we know happened, not even, like he said, not even the things that are iffy, like the things we know happened, and we just don't talk about it. We don't learn about it in school because, just doesn't fit the agenda. So, I mean, that's something I really want to do if, or I could do both. That's also a possibility. Always could be a teacher and then run for office later. So, is there one issue that you're most passionate about? No, I don't think there is.
Recreational nukes.
Well, okay.
I can give you a little bit of advice if you want to be a teacher too, and I might be becoming the history chair next year. So send me your resume if you ever want to become a teacher. But I will say this: New Jersey, for all of, outside the classroom, for all of the laws we have and all of the restrictions we have on what we can do on our property and all these things and with firearms, we have some of the best, we have some of the freest education in the country inside the classroom. I taught for 2 years in Virginia. It was, you got to teach what's in the book on this day, written on the board with this standard. It was so standardized. It was incredible. It's like life outside the classroom was so free. Well, not, to a point. And life inside the classroom, I couldn't do anything. And then
That's
I come back to New Jersey. I spend my day when I'm at work. I'm still teaching the standards and doing all that stuff, but they give you a lot of freedom within New Jersey classrooms to make a difference. And I don't know if people know this. You know that every teacher in the state has taken an oath to the U.S. and New Jersey state constitution. It's called the Oath of Allegiance. You can look it up. Every educator in the state has done that. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. It says,
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
didn't
can
either.
pull it up and I can show you guys. If you just type in New Jersey Department of Education Oath of Allegiance, you take an oath of. I printed this out. I go, well, I guess no one can get mad at me for supporting the Bill of Rights, then, right? Because it's right freaking there.
You know what's amazing about that, Jeff, is I went to school in both New Jersey and Virginia, high school, and a lot has changed in 22, 23 years. I mean, obviously you could see what happened to Virginia's gun laws. I think they're more stringent than New Jersey right now, which I thought I'd never see. But it was the opposite back then. I went from New Jersey public. Yeah, it went from a New Jersey public school to a Virginia public school and then back to New Jersey again. But and it could just be districts. I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if what you're saying is across the board, because it sounds like Virginia has turned for the worst. It's
Virginia, I'll tell you something. It's called the SOL test, the standard of learning. And
no way.
Yeah, it is.
Oh God.
Every May,
That's
and listen,
great.
every May, every kid in the state takes a multiple choice test for the subject. So say it's US History 1. Every kid goes to the computer lab and they have a multiple choice test from the state that the teachers have never seen. And a lot of them just flashcard their way to it because they don't know what to teach. And it's randomized stuff on the exam. Maybe it's getting better, but when I taught in 2012 and 2011 and 2012, it was, I got good scores, but it wasn't teaching. It wasn't diving deep into text. It wasn't understanding, anything like the Declaration of Independence. In New Jersey, I am completely, I'm given the professional courtesy to teach, as long as you're doing your job, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And from a historical perspective, we have a lot, like the Liberty movement can do a lot. If people are, say there's an education department at, a university you're at, reaching out to history majors, bringing them into the Liberty movement, if they're going to go down the education path, we need to start, we can't leave something that valuable to people that have no idea what the Bill of Rights actually says.
Yeah, I'm really glad you're there doing it, because I always felt that, and it's good to know people like I said, it's good to know people like you were there, because I always felt that it was a conflict of interest to have government run schools teaching civics and history, because they're going to always point to, hey, this government product is so great, why don't you buy more of it? And by buy more of it means let's have more government intrusion, more taxation in your life. And I guess you're kind of a disruptor of sorts of that.
Well, I guess, but the way I looked at it was, I remember from the 2008, 2007 campaign. I remember, that debate with Giuliani was the moment I was like, whoa. I remember, I'm sure some of you guys do too, when Ron Paul and Giuliani duked it out in that little debate, and I was like, oh man, they're gonna try to bury this guy. And then remember those text polls? They used to do text afterwards. They stopped doing that because they didn't like the results. It's just like the comment sections on the internet, right? They got rid of those. They got rid of like anything on there because they didn't like what was going on. And I was like, oh my God, like a lot of people support what I thought was a really good, you know what I mean? So I started looking everything up. And after that, I was like, well, I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. Then I was like, well, it'd be great to be able to, talk about real history rather than the crap that I got in high school. And so I don't try to be a disruptor. What I try to do is just say, if you're a libertarian or a liberty lover or someone in the liberty movement, you care about freedom. And you care about the rights of all people, not one group, not one gender or one racial group or ethnic group or tribal group. You care about the rights of all mankind. And you think that rights and privileges are two different words with two different definitions, right? Rights can't be taken away that kind of thing, even in pandemics, things like that, right? You know, like rights are always with the individual. If you take that away, you can't do it without consent. So if you try to teach that and go, look, this is how some people view rights and other people view rights this way, let's have a debate about it. I'm also a debate coach or debate club, you know, organizer. We don't have a full debate team, but, you know, so I try to get involved with things like that. And I try to push the envelope and make the kids think, but I don't try to tell them what to believe. But, you know, education is really important. And that's why I started this company too with my brother and my wife. Education, incentives. I taught economics, right? Incentives. If you give people an incentive to do something, hey, you're gonna get 5% off if you go to the local grocery store, not the ShopRite. All right. Maybe it'll be more expensive, but you'll feel like you're winning. You know, maybe a little incentive to go to the gun range. Here's an incentive, you know, and that way, you know, give people carrots for doing the right thing rather than sticks like the government always wants to do, you know, fines and penalties and all kinds of stuff. So we're trying to like come up with ways to educate people. Eventually, I would love to do some kind of summer camp, like a Sons of Liberty summer camp, you know, out in Pennsylvania somewhere where, you know, you could teach, you know, that kind of stuff. That's, you know, down the line, but we're trying to come up with ways to educate. I'm an educator. So that's what I'm trying to do at the local level. But, you know,
that's
all of our roles.
That's one of the beauty of approaching the fight for liberty from a non-political standpoint, the way you're doing it, because you're showing people that the incentive, the positive reinforcement is better than the negative reinforcement. And that's the beauty of it. And that's the idea behind liberty. You know what I mean? And you brought up something right there at the end where you said, you know, because the government gives out sticks. Well, you know, the only way the government can do anything is via force, right?
That's right.
They can only take,
Stick.
they can only take, and they can only threaten. They can do nothing else, right? Or they can throw you in a cage and maybe inevitably kill you. But the only tool that they have at their disposal is force, because and so you got to view, you know, government as a hammer, and when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right?
Right.
Whereas when you approach liberty from an individual standpoint, you approach liberty from a business standpoint, an entrepreneurial standpoint, or a local community standpoint, like we've been discussing, it lets everybody realize, like, why do we need them? Like, what have they done? What are they doing to positively help us other than kind of get in the way?
That brings me to another question for Jeff. What do we need them? And on that note, have any of these businesses, do you think they'd be open to adopting cryptocurrency for transactions and not using government money so much?
I don't know right now. I think that we would have to get the network a little bit bigger, and you know what I mean? Like really, you know, I think at one point, you know, possibly, you know, hopefully we can get them to accept gold and silver too.
That would be really
you know, but we'd probably need something from over at the political end to get rid of some the taxes on gold and silver. You know what I mean? So there's some challenges and some loopholes, but there's a lot of things we can do, you know, like in the political realm that doesn't cost money that can help us in both ends. We need both sides. You know, I mean, there's multiple points of, you know, everyone's bringing up what they're doing, and we're all doing really good things. Yeah. We all have roles, and we can all support each other. But yeah, maybe one day, you know, I think once cryptos I feel like the layman doesn't quite get it yet. You know, when I go into a small business, I might go to a mom and pop pizza place, and the guy can barely, he understands, oh, it's Patriotic Discount Club, and he gets that. But if I go in there and start talking about cryptocurrencies, he might start looking at me like I have three heads. You know what I mean? So let's get him out to October Freedom Fest. And then see also, by the way, just our future plans. We were supposed to do this for Patriots Day, April 19th, right? Paul Revere, Midnight Ride, all that stuff. I want to do 3 events a year. And we'll do it all different places. I'm having a few other breweries come out to the October Freedom Fest, kind of contingent, like if we do a good job, they'll sign up. And then maybe I was talking to Crow's Brew Pub, that's also in Sparta. And then in Hackettstown, there's an awesome one. I know this is all in North Jersey. I'm sorry, South Jersey people will get to you, but it's just, you know, we're a small business trying to build out, you know, but like getting other breweries involved and doing, and April 19th, a Patriots Day event, Independence Day event, and an Oktoberfest event. So 3 events every year. We're all patriotic people, patriotic libertarians. Anyone that considers themselves patriotic can come out, and we can all we can talk about cryptocurrencies with the business owners. You know what I mean? We can talk about these things, and we can have discussions. Because if we can do it on a level where, you know, we have a few police chiefs there, we got a few sheriffs, we got some guys in the military, we got some business owners, we have some good music. And then, we can, I can give a shout out to all the business owners there that are in the network. We can all mingle together and we can start to say, hey, next time you get stopped, if there's a, hey, how's Sheriff Neela, or, how's Sheriff Strada doing? All of a sudden you can name drop, you can talk like, these people. And then all of a sudden your community becomes a little bit tighter. And if we can just tighten it up a little bit from our point of view, that's going to do a lot to make people go, why are people that live hundreds of miles away telling our community what to do? Why does that make any sense? If I live in California, why do I send a third of my money to Washington, D.C.? That's on the other side of the continent, right? So if you can just start getting those ideas into people's minds, maybe you can start taking back that whole idea of the founding fathers, the anti-federalists, right? The distant capital, the distant capital that has, we don't no idea what they're doing, and if we can kind of bind our communities together, whether it's the county level, the township level, or even, neighborhoods. I mean, how great would it be if you knew all your neighbors and you guys were friendly, how strong would that just be right on its own? Just reaching out to neighbors. I'm actually building right now. We had a little garden, but I'm building a bigger one in the front yard up in Sparta. And we're already getting a lot of people coming by going, you're building this front yard garden. What's going on? I'm going, just in case, we're just getting ready, grow some stuff. Oh, well, let me have a tomato or two. I'm like, no, I'll teach you how to build your own, and we're already, just doing stuff like that. Just not thinking that you have to sit on your butts and wait for the next election and complain in between. There's things we can do every single day, so.
My wife ain't let me grow a garden in the front yard. I'll tell you that right now.
No.
Ain't happening.
Hey, it's you only do what you can. Keep the wife happy.
That's it. Jay, let's all right, I'll do it. Why don't we get to some closing statements here? It's been about an hour. I said from the beginning we want to try and keep this close to about an hour. Why don't everybody just one quick last closing statement? Let everyone know how to get a hold of you. Let's start with the YAL guys. Matt, how do people get a hold of you specifically for what you need to do? And then Akshay, how do they get a hold of you to sign up at the state level? So why don't we go there?
So for me at the national level, there's a couple things that they can do. I mean, I can give my own contact info at the end of this, but to learn more about the organization as a whole, you go to www.yaliberty.org. So it's literally Liberty with YA before it. That'll take you to our general page. You'll get to see like what we're about, who's part of staff, what events we're doing throughout the year, especially for Mobilize 2020, which is our major convention in Texas, August 6th to 8th. There's a couple people going, Mike Rufo, Akshay, yours truly. But also, we also have another section of our website, yliberty.org/door, where you get to see our Operation with the Door program, as shown in the background. It gives details about how people can get involved as election coordinators. So anyone, you and I, almost virtually, regardless of how old or young you are, you can get involved in campaigns throughout the year in anywhere across the country, or we've endorsed candidates, especially this year, campaigns as close as Pennsylvania or as far away as Idaho. We're looking for people everywhere throughout the year, so this is a great tangible way for people to actually help us get people with libertarian ideals elected into office. Right. And, for me, I'm the, I don't know if I said it before, but I'm the Northeast Deputy Regional Director for the organization. So, I mean, I primarily deal with New Jersey, especially as a lifelong resident of Hope Island in Sussex County, but also in charge of, yep, there you go, and New York, Connecticut, and the rest of New England. So I oversee a lot of states, but New Jersey is always my primary focus. It's been my whole life. And, as Nick Magner would say, like, if I wish we can get to a point one day where I feel comfortable enough to be able to raise my own kids in Jersey, knowing that they're going to have more liberty than I ever did. So I can post my contact here. You can also email me at matthew.castaneda, which is CASTANEDA@yaliberty.org. That's my email. Again, I can just type it out here in the chat or send it to whoever, for anyone that's interested in obtaining that information and reaching out to me.
And Akshay, why don't you let everyone know how they can sign up if they want to become members for anybody who's in a college, or even because now we're doing county level stuff, right? So
yeah,
let everybody know how that works and how to reach out to you and what that would entail.
So we, like you mentioned, we're doing community chapters now too. So you don't have to be in college. You don't have to be, 20 something years old. You could be like Rich Bowen, but 60 something, 60. I don't know how old he is. Calling him
Sounds about
out,
right.
calling you out, Rich.
He's even older than me.
Yeah, you don't have to be young. To be a
He's
part
local
of
to
it.
me, I think.
Yeah, he's in Cherry Hill.
Yes.
Great guy. Reach out to Rich. But you don't necessarily have to be young. We're doing community chapters. We're doing meetings with community chapters, and eventually, I want to start, doing rallies, like just full force getting out to Trenton and just showing our assemblymen what we're about. But if you want to join, of course, you can reach out to me or Matt. My email is also akshay.arora@yaliberty.org. You can reach out to me on Facebook. My name is Akshay Arora. It's a picture of me. That's how you know it's me. Yeah, I mean, you could also go to yaliberty.org/join. That's another way to join. But easiest way is to reach out to me and I'll walk you through it, or reach out to Matt. He'll walk you through it. But there's a lot of stuff we're doing, and I'm really excited to keep doing stuff.
Actually, how do we spell your name for the email address, brother?
Oh, it's AKSHAY.ARORA.
All right, fantastic.
I'm a member too. I'm a member as well.
So we're all members of YAL. See, I didn't even know. Look at that.
Not Joe. Joe's not.
I think there's
I don't
Joe.
think I
Joe's
am
the
either.
one exception.
I don't think I am. I was, but I don't
Joe will
think I'm
join if he
current.
could pay in Bitcoin.
Paying Ethereum.
We would not oppose that at all, just for the record.
One more time, Jeff. Why don't you just let everyone know what the email address is and how to sign
Yeah.
up?
So if you want to check us out and what we're all about, it's sonsoflibertyso.com. SO for Survival Outfitters. Our whole thing is about helping the community and you as an individual, your family survive, right? And how can you do that without your freedom?
I think I know an accountant I might send your way.
Awesome. So sonsoflibertyso.com. Business owners join for free. They offer a discount. That's what they pay. Veterans, first responders, $10 for the year. Anyone else, patriotic Americans, 20 going to 25 next year in 2021. I think we're going to open up New York State too in 2021 and try to, branch out even more. Facebook, Instagram, Sons of Liberty SO, at Sons of Liberty SO. So everything's Sons of Liberty SO for Survival Outfitters. And that's the best way to get in contact with us. And we hope you do. And, we're here just to help small businesses and help the Liberty movement in any way we can in a kind of non-political small business community way. And we hope that everyone can come out to October Freedom Fest, even you South Jersey guys. All right. And Central Jersey, right? Because that exists. All right. So come out, it's in Sussex County, but try to make it out that day and we'll try to have a good time. I'm going to blast that all over social media. We'll try to have, a Central Jersey one, a South Jersey one, and we'll try to mix it up, but if we can all just, just show people that it's fun. Liberty and freedom are fun things. They're not just like, I know protesting, all that stuff. We have to do it. But at the same time, if we could just spend 4 hours listening to some good music, hanging out with good people. And, and by the way, first at the beginning, we got donation 50 free burgers and hot dogs from our food truck. So it's free burgers and hot dogs if you show up early. And I'll share the link with everyone, so you guys can have all the information. But hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it. And good luck, Mike, running for Congress and everyone else in 2A Sanctuary and YAL. I mean, guys, I appreciate it. It's great to see some young faces. I've spent a lot of time. I work with the VFWs a lot, and I got a lot of older faces. There's a lot of guys in the boomer generation that I talk to, but it's nice to see some young faces, and it's nice to it's nice to meet you guys. I mean, this is the first time I'm meeting you guys, so at least not on chat, right?
Right.
Likewise, man.
Absolutely. All right,
Great to finally see you, man.
Nick, let's throw it to you, bud. Why don't you let everyone know exactly, how they can help? How maybe they could become an ambassador in their county of some sort.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what you do is, if you want to become an advocate, a Second Amendment advocate, all you have to do is go to, on Facebook, you can go to facebook.com/NJ2A Sanctuary. You can go to NJ2ASanctuary.com and message the website. I run the website. So if you message it, it goes right to me, and I always respond. I try to respond to every single message, a lot of them, all the time. So you can do that there. You can just your county has a Facebook as well, and on that main Facebook page, like I said, NJ2A Sanctuary, you just type in New Jersey 2A Sanctuary. It has a list of all your county pages on the pinned post. Click on that, send them a message and say, hey, how can I help? Our advocates are always checking that as well. We're very active on Facebook and things like that. We're trying to bring the whole social media aspect into activism, which is something that I think is, Yao's touching on, but it isn't done much. So again, New Jersey, you just go to nj2asanctuary.com, check us out, print out a resolution, send your resolutions in, and continually send these resolutions in multiple times. So these politicians, the one who've been sitting there so comfy for years, gets the effing point and starts doing something. That's what we want to do. We want to mobilize the grassroots to mobilize these lazy politicians. That's what we're trying to do. And support your local liberty lovers, all right? Support Michael Rufo. That's it, man. That's it. Thank you, guys. You can, like I said, find us on Facebook, find us on the website. We're here for you. Anything you guys need.
Absolutely love it. Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for doing this. I know we kind of threw it together. I would call it last minute. I mean, it was last week that we had the idea, and we stitched it together pretty quick. We had a little bit of a fumble in the beginning trying to get onto Facebook Live and YouTube Live. We figured it out. Yeah. To everybody that's watching, though, I want you to, I did this and we did this today because it's important that everybody knows that liberty isn't dead in New Jersey. It's alive. And we might be on a ventilator, right? Because we all know about ventilators right now. But we may be on a ventilator, but we're kicking and we're coming back. And it's not over, And then as far as what I have to offer and what I'm bringing to the table is the New Jersey Libertarian Party. If you believe that your freedom of speech is important, if you believe that the Second Amendment is important, if you believe that you have a right to privacy from the government for any reason whatsoever, and they should not be spying on you, if you believe in the proper judicial process and being able to have, a trial and being proven, you're being innocent until you're guilty and having a jury trial, if you believe in being secure in your own possessions, this is the party for you. At least let us help guide the way. We'll have the conversations. Come out to one of our meetings. We have a Central Jersey group, we have a North Jersey group, and we have a South Jersey group. The Central Jersey Libertarians can be found on Facebook, Central Jersey Libertarians. The South Jersey Libertarians can be found on Facebook at South Jersey Libertarians. The New Jersey Libertarians can be reached through our website, which is www.njlp.org. You can see all of the other candidates running for office there as well. We are active. We have a very aggressive and active chair now that we elected at our convention digitally during the coronavirus in March. He's doing a great job. Dan Kraus is our chair. If you have any questions, reach out to him. He'll guide you in the right direction. We will do whatever it takes to help advance liberty forward. If you need somebody to come speak and talk about a specific item, I held a criminal justice reform forum with Larry Sharp, Maj Touré, Reverend Charles Boyer, and John Odermatt of Lions for Liberty last September. It was one of the best things we've ever done. It's out there in the digital world, influencing people every day. We are here to help. As far as my campaign goes, do yourself a favor. If you believe in all those same things that you just heard me talk about the NJLP, or everything that everybody talked about tonight on this page, I promise you, there's nobody else running in District 4 that cares about them as much as I do. Chris Smith does not care about them as much as I do. Chris Smith cares about keeping his job. Chris Smith does not care about your liberty. He's anti-Second Amendment. He's he's okay with magazine limits. He voted for the bump stock ban. He is against silencers or suppressors. He's not a Second Amendment advocate. So if you are a Second Amendment advocate and you do believe in the Second Amendment, give me an opportunity. My website is www.runrufo2020.com. Throw the /donate in there if you want to help out. I'll have yard signs available, probably coming late August, early September, because you can't really put them out until October anyway. I'm here for you. If you want to host a town hall in your own home, have your friends come in, let them hear what we have to say. I'm there for you. Go to my website, check it out. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. All the contact information is there. Jay, you want to sum it up?
Yep, just Mike, thanks for putting this together. We are having an event that is currently planned for July 18th. It's a picnic festival in central New Jersey. The question is, will it really happen on July 18th? We do not know yet. There's a number of factors, all because of coronavirus. It's also whether or not the national convention will be rescheduled for around that time. But we're planning a big event, and it'd be great for groups, other groups to show up. We've had groups at it before that have put up tables and booths. There's people that camp out. They spend the whole weekend. We plan on brewing beer for the event. We plan on having a beer brewing competition, and Joe's going to lose.
I've had
So it's going to be a great
beers
event.
and some of the worst beers from my brew equipment. Remember Ship Batch?
It still comes up on me once in a while. So, Mike, thanks for putting this together, and thanks for everyone for attending and contributing.
Yeah, Mike, that was a real inspiring closing. I almost feel bad for moving out of New Jersey now.
Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it, man. Everybody,
excellent.
guys have a great night.
Yeah.
We'll all be in touch. Thank you.
Okay,
Good job.
Guys.
Wow.
Have a good
Thank
one.
you,
thank you.
thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Who's got the recording? Jay, and the recording.
Yep. If I can
Hey,
figure
by the
it
way,
out.
guys, I posted a link for that New Jersey Oath of Allegiance, so you can see that.
We're live.
I
We're still
Googled it.
live. We're still live.
You want to shut that off?
Yeah.
I could stop it. Oh no, I can't stop it.
Jay's got to stop.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to do that here. Here we go. Let's see. Live.